Oh,
All right. Stalling for time here. Um, the DOJ moves to unseal the search warrant against Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate. Uh, okay, so if you're not familiar, the Fourth Amendment requires that for places to be searched and things to be seized, you have to have a written warrant. And that has to describe the things to be searched and to be seized. They could incidentally find something, but they had to have some reason that they thought that they were going to go in. And so they didn't release it before. I mean, usually they don't release it. It would be very stupid for them to release it before they did the raid. But normally you could do such a thing simultaneously with a raid, like saying that, we're gonna, we're executing a search warrant, we're looking for documents related to X or something, and it would make
False.
this a lot less suspicious than we're executing a search warrant. We won't tell you what it's for. We might release it in a few days, but what this means is that they could go on an expedition. They could say it's for one thing. They actually find something, and then they just go back and rewrite it to say, "Oh yeah, we were looking for this all along."
Excellent. All right, can y'all hear me on the fucking stream now? I don't know what the
Keep
fuck.
talking.
Keep talking, still talking, still talking. Man, this is such fucking. This is. I'm like hyper frustrated at the
There
moment.
he is. Yeah, you're good, man. I hear you
Okay,
on the
Jesus
stream
fucking Christ. All right, let me do this again. Hello and welcome everyone to episode 81 of The Altar, where I am joined by Max and Caparato, aka Max, and Yimra, aka Yimra, aka Yimra.
Call me the
And here we
fuck
are.
riddle machine here, baby.
You got it. Oh my god.
that
Man.
Max
now.
sauce
Wet and
really
wild
does
crusty
something.
slider.
Just have a fucking like nice intro and like fucking Streamlabs is like, you updated your computer, you can't expect me to work. It's like fucking Christ, man.
Why do you get like a South Park voice there?
Because I watch too much fucking South Park. That's why.
Dude, speaking of South Park, so like everybody in Colorado was trying to go to South Park Live at Red Rocks in Golden, which is where they're from, and they went to Evergreen High School, which is right outside Golden. And,
Evergreen, huh?
And like people were bummed out. I saw one post, which was hilarious to me, where the guy was literally saying, "I'm taking a social media break because I've been seeing too many posts of people who got to go to South Park Live. People were scalping tickets for $300, and it would have been worth it, but I couldn't afford it at the time."
It would not have been worth it.
Listen, I've seen the Book of Mormon. It might have been worth it.
Like,
Book of
here's
Mormon's
the-
great. The musical. I should.
Yes.
I should.
Yeah.
$300
The
for a night
musical
of
Book of Mormon.
entertainment. I mean, if it's something you remember forever, I guess. But and Red Rocks is a great venue, and of course, everybody's obsessed with it around there. So, but what's
I'm
funny to
guessing
me
if you're
is
in
those guys
Colorado,
they
that's
live
the
in
place to be.
fucking Los Angeles for the last like 20 years since they got the show going. So they're not like all their references to Colorado are 20 years old
Oh
at
god.
this point.
I'm
You
sure
know?
they got like a house or a second home out there.
Oh, no,
They
they
got
go
to.
skiing in Aspen or some shit like that. But like that's not really Colorado.
Never forget when they went to whatever the
They're
award show
jet
was, and they were
setters,
high
right?
in like crystal meth or like acid or something in like dresses in like the early
They're wearing the goose
2000s.
suits.
It was the goose suits, and there's one in dresses, and they're high as shit. Like they're
Well, no,
absolutely
yeah,
fucking zonked.
the dress is a goose wrapped
It's a goose.
around.
Okay, it's like a goose. I just remember vaguely that.
Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah, I don't know. I really dropped off with South Park. It's not been.
I remember the
appealing
show
to
still
me.
being like good and funny, but it just don't keep on
It-
track of it. I mean,
It definitely has its moments. It has funny episodes, but like the problem at this point is they actually did an episode about this. Like it was kind of self-referential, but they're like running out of material.
Oh,
And
totally.
and they accept the fact that as the show gets older, it's just gonna suck.
But
Like, there was this-
I'm sure at least in their position they're like, okay, well, we're still getting renewed seasons, and I'll say
Yeah.
PC Principal is actually like a pretty funny character.
PC Principal. Here's the thing: they
Like,
have
both
now
being like pro and against like PC culture concept as a character, where he's
So-
both a good and a negative shown, is kind of like funny while still actually doing the thing.
I don't want to go too much into South Park because we could devote a whole episode fucking talking about
Let's
South
not
Park.
do
but,
that.
like,
Let's
let's
not.
not do that. South Park used to be where like you would have seasons, and like the seasons themselves were like you watch the whole thing, and like they all have like their variety of great episodes, and it's just fucking great. As you got later on, they had like 1 or 2 great episodes per season,
Mhm.
and a lot of them were just like they weren't
Filler.
not yeah, they were just filler episodes. Like they didn't really do a whole lot.
They're-
Was it?
Remember
they're
that
not-
scene? It felt like, oh, remember that like plot we cut from season like 6 or something like that? Let's make that into a show because we don't have any
Oh,
ideas
God.
this week.
I will say it's
Yeah.
still not worse than say The Simpsons, which I think they should have shot everybody on that fucking company at this point. And then
Simpsons-
also
The
Family Guy.
Simpsons- See, here's the thing too. The South
I haven't
Park
watched it
South
in
Park
years,
is
it's
like
not-
the only TV show or one of the few TV shows that had a movie and then didn't suck immediately afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Simpsons, as soon as the Simpsons movie came out, that series was fucking dead. Like it was done. Like it was probably done a little bit before that. The Simpsons movie was the final nail in the fucking coffin.
Mhm.
I cannot. Not a single episode after that movie is really worth watching. Like the show
Any
now
show running
is-
that long, that's a series that isn't like a soap opera, probably just should eventually be canceled. Just go on to another project. It's fine.
Well,
Yeah.
there's fucking Days of Our Lives, right? Where at least, talking about soap operas or whatever.
It's
it
like
is,
30.
they-
It was like 29 years or something crazy like that, right?
Oh no, they're going to like 45 or something like that.
What
But the
show
thing
was
is,
it that
like,
was
they
going on
aged-
29 years? They ended like a few years back.
Well, they aged the characters, is what I was getting at. Is that like
Oh.
they actually progress and they introduce new people and people have
Mm-hmm.
kids and then there's this and stuff like that. Like
Word.
it's not just like the same 4 kids in the same town
That sounds
going
miserable.
on
to be-
hijink adventures all the time.
like the same, like they play the same role for so long. He's either really good or really bad. Like what's his name from Jensen Ackles? Whatever the fuck his name
Oh,
is.
from Supernatural.
Yeah, where he doesn't seem like a terrible actor. I have nothing against the guy. He's on Supernatural, which I'm sure he doesn't hate because it's probably a
He's
sweet
also-
check to consistently get. He was in The
He's
Boys,
also-
which is why
he's
I'm
in The
bringing him up.
Boys now. Yeah.
Where he even they even say the fact that he actually was one of the people they could have put for Captain America, and then the people they were considering for that role were like some big budget like AAA actors, and then like I guess they appreciate Jessen more because I guess TV show actors are a little bit better to work with, and they don't have a lot of like crazy big names outside like a handful of people that are leads.
I would
I'm sure
totally
that would've
like to
been-
see.
he was
First
he was
too.
what?
I would have liked to seen Jensen Ackles as Captain America, especially.
Yeah,
over his
yeah,
fucking
but then he would
Evans.
get in the whole. He'd have to do a bunch of Marvel movies, and then he'd
Yeah,
be like,
true.
"Well," then his super deep voice would be like, "Well, that just happened." Like,
He's
my
behind.
friend,
I
my
tried
friend went
to
to.
watch Supernatural. I had an ex who was into it,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, "Wait, so the monsters are just like people?"
Yeah,
That's
dude. Here's the
That's,
thing.
that's when you know the budget's,
like,
not the best.
you
But
need to
sometimes you don't.
financially compensate anybody who watched that show for more than
It's-
like 3 episodes. It was
It's the CW. Like people forget
Yeah.
that network. This is the same network that produces fucking Riverdale, and I.
Well,
have
Riverdale is a
a-
really high production show. Like for
I don't
like
even know what
cable-
the show is. What is Riverdale?
For
It's
Riverdale's
awful.
based on a bunch of Archie
Awful.
comics, but
It's awful. It's awful. It's
oh no,
awful.
it's terrible. But I'm saying is for cable TV and how it has been pretty much since streaming has existed, it's definitely one of the ones that they put more money into in time and effort comparatively
Surprisingly.
to say. Well,
It really
I
is their
think they got that
flagship
first
show.
season, and then they were like, "All right, this is gonna be our Breaking Bad equivalent, but for like retarded
my-
assholes." No offense, to anybody who
Seriously.
watches it. Nothing wrong with that. If you watch
No.
it.
Here's the thing. Like
content is
it's
retarded.
it is, but no, actually,
I'm not gonna
no, there's
blame
no
anybody.
but.
This shit is ridiculous. My brother watched the shit out of it. He's not retarded.
It's really I don't
But-
like. Here's the thing I really don't like about Riverdale too. So this is something a lot of TV
Oh.
shows do this.
I'm just wondering, as a straight male, how have you sat down for an episode of this?
My ex
Riverdale
loved,
is like-
she didn't
like-
love Riverdale, but she watched
Riverdale's
Riverdale.
like attractive women that they show off. Like everyone's
No.
off in a-
No,
in a
okay, no. This
sexual
goes
way,
back
I'll
to the
say.
point I was just trying to make before. So
Mhm.
they
And it
take
just
like
looks
high
a teen
schoolers.
drama.
It's a teen
Yeah.
drama. It is. So this is why women in their
Well,
20s like it, because women in their
mid-twenties.
20s mentally are teenagers. So moving
And
on
also
from that,
the actors are
well, the
also in
point
their
I was trying to
mid-twenties.
make before that I am going to make, and we are not going to derail,
Take your time.
is that
Take your
they
time.
take teenagers, high school kids, and they over-sexualize them. Riverdale did
The
this.
actors are like 30, dog.
I know they're 30, but they're
But
playing
you really-
teenagers.
they're LARPing.
They're
LARPing
playing
teenagers.
high schoolers. They're playing
They're
like
LARPing.
15, 16, 17-year-olds. The new Sabrina TV show did the same shit. It had like high school age kids and they were having like a fucking orgy and shit. And it's like, yo, these kids
Wait,
are like
what,
15,
Sabrina?
16. Yeah. Yeah, they had like a fucking orgy in the fucking
What the
which
curses
school?
now?
After school show. That's like
Yeah.
oh.
No. Okay, so not the old one with fucking Melissa Joan Hart.
Well, the
or
whole
fuck her
point
name
of
is.
Sabrina wasn't
Yeah,
it
Melissa
supposed
Joan
to be
Hart.
like the people who
No,
watch the
not
original
her.
series
Not
now
that
watch
one.
this.
So the old Sabrina TV show with the talking cat, that's fine. The new one on Netflix literally has the fucking kids at this school at a fucking orgy. I'm absolutely serious. 100%. 100.
But like, how do you take the source material? I guess like the Archie comics too, right? Like,
Right.
fuck.
Here's the thing. The
like-
CW and Netflix have the exact same audience. It's like teenage and 20-something-year-old, and it's usually 30-year-old women who are single and usually have a shitload of cats. That's
And
their
gay
target
men.
audience. And what?
Wait, does the
And
cat
gay men.
even talk
Yeah.
in the new Sabrina?
Is what?
Does the cat even talk in the new Sabrina?
No,
And is
which
it played by a
sucks.
mildly funny comedian?
No, it's not. It doesn't fucking talk at all. It's
That was
actually
like the saving grace of that show was the shitty cat puppet with a comedian like doing
Yeah,
the role
exactly.
playing off the
Yeah,
cat. That was
exactly.
so
They
funny.
should have had Norm Macdonald do it.
they. Rest in peace, Norm Macdonald.
Mm.
So I guess we should stop talking about television actors and we should return to other television actors, aka politicians, aka
Hey,
Trump,
it was all
aka
related.
it was all related because it's all fake. The raid.
The script writers have been going crazy this last.
Oh
couple
my
weeks.
god, dude!
Can I
Every
admit-
couple
can
of
we
weeks
say?
they're just like,
Yo, they hired
whoa.
Vince Bro, they hired Vince Gilligan for this shit. It's too good. It's too good.
Seriously.
content.
Like
Where's
really?
my-
No,
Like,
actually, you know
he
what?
had
I
a
heard it
couple
was
slow
J.J.
seasons
Abrams.
in 2020, and
Oh no,
like,
that would make
in
it not
2021.
enjoyable though, because J.J. Abrams can't write anything that's watchable.
I wouldn't call this enjoyable. I wouldn't call anything going on these days enjoyable or watchable.
No, but Trump getting raided by the feds is also pretty funny.
It's amusing. Like, here's the thing. I feel like it's like back during the Trump presidency when we had some fucking pseudo-scandalous story about Trump like every other week. And now the fucking FBI is raiding his fucking resort for like... Does anybody actually know what they raided him for? Like, what were they looking for?
No, that was my opening monologue. Is like, so they haven't released the search warrant, which means they could go in and search, and they could find whatever they need to find because every rich person commits felonies with like taxes and shit like that, and then they can rewrite the warrant to say whatever they want.
Yeah,
right? So
and
it's
like...
just a fishing expedition. is
I
all
also heard too,
really.
like they cracked his fucking safe in his office, and apparently the safe was like empty or some shit. Like I
Hey,
don't
the
know.
guy's smart. He probably see like cameras outside and like security that would have informed the FBI's coming in. Hey,
For the
FBI fucking
conspiracy
shit
minded
up.
among us, it is a fact that the judge who signed the warrant, they have released that much, was a lawyer for Jeffrey Epstein
Wait, real quick.
So not-
the raid. Wait, I got something
and
here.
flew on their plane.
The raid was reportedly part of investigation into whether the former president mishandled classified information after leaving the White House. While Trump returned some materials to the National Archives 7 months ago, federal authorities had reportedly grown concerned that Trump and his team weren't being fully forthcoming. So
Wait,
basically, I guess they're
wait.
trying to look
They
for documents.
raided his house over over a National Archives issue?
Let's see.
Really?
Blah, blah, blah.
That's
Are we
fucking
serious?
bonkers.
Oh my God!
Classified information. So
Okay.
Well, here's the-
communications
saying.
an email between two members of a State Department and the Foreign Secretary of some other country is classified, but it has jack shit to do. And think about the fucking Hillary Clinton deleted her private email server of
Oh my God,
32,000
yeah.
State Department emails.
And they even
Okay.
admitted, like, yeah, there was classified information on the server, and yeah, they didn't exactly do things legally. But no reasonable prosecutor would bring charges in such a situation, and it's like reasonable.
Trump associates have expressed shock over how their cordial interaction with the DOJ ended in a raid. Oh, that's funny.
So I did read something on Zero Hedge this morning that apparently the FBI, or like on behalf of the National Archives or something, knew about these documents ahead of time and were like, hey, do you have these? And they went to Mar-a-Lago, and I'll see if I can find this article. But like they put the documents aside in boxes so the FBI or the National Archives could look through this shit. And like, okay, I have to go find this article now because specifically what I read was that the FBI.
The latest article on Zero Hedge, published 6:33 p.m.
Yep.
Is that they were looking for classified documents related to nuclear weapons, among other things. So
What?
I'm gonna be real with you on this one. Okay, I could actually go to my bookshelf right behind me. There is a diagram for a nuclear weapon in the back of my college physics textbook.
Hey, by the way, can you get me that? Can you ship that book over to me real quick?
No, I'm not kidding. I'll go.
No. You know, don't do that. I think then you put it up
No,
to the
it's
fucking
publicly
screen.
available. Everybody.
No, I know. It's
Like
certain things are public information, but YouTube could be a little bitch boy about that shit sometimes. About public information. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like we get
Speaking of
flagged for saying
explosives,
things, you know.
Are my personal heroes over at Ordnance Lab. If there's any listeners who are also a fan of Ordnance Lab, they are a YouTube channel dedicated to exploring explosives and cool improvised munitions and stuff like that. Had a fire that destroyed their cameras and stuff, and you should go search how to support them so they can get back in business. They also lost their cat, which was sad too.
Oh yeah, fucking A. Poor buddy.
But yeah,
Anyways,
no, I mean,
I think this is
the documents
if he
about
was
nuclear
keeping
like stuff is like, what the fuck is Trump gonna do? Like, if he forgot to like, I guess he had documents and has to send them back, and it's like, okay, but what the fuck is Trump gonna do with those documents? Of course, if he did legitimately have those documents and just fucking left them somewhere in the resort, then someone should have just been like, just one in the stupidest scenario that would make the most sense though would have been one guy be like, hey, I'm part of this government agency. You need those documents or specifically this. Can you return them to us? Yes. Please come follow me where I give you these documents. And that would have been it. But this just sounds like obviously sounds like bullshit. I mean, he's got nuclear documents.
Here's what if you were actually like the Department of Defense or Department of State and actually worried about nuclear weapon secrets, the things you're worried about are technical specs on targeting systems and the flight system of the missile and how it operates and how it guides itself. Does anybody think Trump has the reading level to be interested in that kind of document, that he would keep it? Like, why would he even be briefed?
He's going to sell it to the
first
Saudis
place?
for a new hotel in the fucking UAE or some shit.
Well,
it's a joke because I'm funny.
It's fucking silly that like they're really thinking.
What was it? There was a study. I forgot which college it was, but the government basically like they grabbed a couple of college students for a study, and they said like, without any actual like overall information about nuclear weapons, see how long it takes for you to figure out how to make a nuclear bomb. And these were like college kids who was like some general understanding of like engineering, but not like enough obviously to.
Are we talking like something like a bomb that uses radioactive material, like a dirty bomb, or are we talking like actual
a full
fission?
like a nuclear bomb that like not like a dirty bomb, like a nuclear bomb
like
that like
fission, like nuclear fission?
Yeah, like you would actually like the government actually.
Yeah, you uranium bomb.
Like
that's easy.
Yeah, we're not talking like ISIS throwing a dirty bomb type beat, like an actual nuclear bomb. I think the study revealed it took like 2 years for like a handful of these kids from like college to figure out how to make a bomb. With like just general, I gotta find the study because it's really interesting. Google, hello Google, I love you. I misspelled Google. Fuck. Google. Study in which they saw nuclear. Oh fuck! Can't spell at all. You're on a fucking computer. Not the Manhattan Project, bro. What the fuck? How two students built the A-bomb. Okay. It's one of the burning questions about how easy it could be for a country with no nuclear expertise to build a bomb. 40 years ago, in a top-secret project, the U.S. military set above the finding out Oliver Berkman talks to two men who solved the nuclear puzzle in just 30 months. So two college kids in the 60s or 50s made a nuclear bomb, like that era of
Based.
bomb, which obviously isn't like the same level in ICBM, but a nuclear bomb is still a fucking nuclear bomb.
Wait,
And
are you saying in
sometimes,
the
I mean,
'60s?
this was, let me read it.
Because
It said 40 years ago, so that would be,
that would be in the
this-
'80s.
yeah, about the 80s. So
So I mean, they've had intercontinental tipped ballistic missiles with megaton payloads since the '60s.
1964. Today he experiences 1964. Okay, so it's around that time. I mean, either way, the fact that two college students could figure it out.
I mean,
There's
yeah.
enough know-how and time and patience and shit. I mean, they are in the U.S., and so they probably have a little bit better resources, and they don't have to worry about getting shot at. Say if they were in, most countries that want to use a nuke, where that might be a bit more difficult. But still, that being said, if they're really worried about these schematics, like,
You can't read it, but yes, this is a diagram of how to create a nuclear weapon in the back of my college physics book.
there's like a fucking like Boy Scout book I think about making a nuclear reactor from like the 50s or 60s as well. Like there's old books and like shit where people were being fucking stupid and letting kids learn how to make like all kinds of nuclear shit like in the early days of like the Cold War. Like a how to like A, get these, B, purchase these products, put them together this way. Make sure to wear these like radioactive retardant clothing. Make sure to do this. Like it was like a fucking step by step, and then I think they had to like or get those books like sent back and like fucking just burn them. I guess. Fucking throw them out the fucking airlock. Yeah, but anyways, I mean the raid sounds stupid. They're definitely like you said, like a fishing expedition.
Yeah.
Just rewrite
Yeah.
the warrant. I mean that it open and shut on that.
I mean, it's like, what is he keeping the codes, the launch codes? Just redo the launch codes or
Like
something.
I'm assuming the launch codes just
Listen, guys, this is
reset
amusing,
every
but we
certain
can't
amount of time.
trust Trump with the launch codes. We just can't. We can't. Everybody remember that shit post? Holy fuck.
Joe Biden can't even fucking go near the launch codes.
Joe Biden can't even operate a set of stairs, man. Like,
Well, yeah, that's one of those things where it's like we know for a fact that guy ain't doing shit. You can't if you
Oh,
physically
no.
look at that band, you'd be like, no, can't do the launch.
See,
Dude,
here's
I
the
wish
thing.
Trump
I
had
would
launch codes, but
I
still.
would almost say, like, it wasn't for the fact that, like, what was it, Merrick Garland, like, recently was like, yeah, I personally approved the raid, and, like, wouldn't answer questions about it, and it was like, yeah, this is top secret, or it's part of an ongoing investigation, and, like, 20 minutes later, somebody in his office leaked to the fucking Washington Post, and they fucking posted all about it. But, oh, God, like, yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but
So like this, everything here screams fishing expedition. I highly doubt like leaving the White House that Trump's like, oh yeah, let me keep. I can sell this because I'm broke and some shit. Like he's not gonna be able to like get a book deal or TV deals and shit like that. Like he doesn't play for keeps the way they think he does. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Right?
Also
He like
to
he's just in it for the money and the fame, but like not the money like the Saudis are gonna pay me off, or some shit so that they can get better guidance systems to defeat like Iranian counter missile measures or some shit like that. Like it's not that level of sophistication. He's God.
no, that's what you need. Those microchips, baby bop.
Mm.
And also the floaty. No, not referencing the that Boy Scout with the fucking fire alarm, the fire things. That's a separate matter all on its own.
Wait, are you talking about the kid that like
There's that
built a
one
mock
story
bomb
about
and brought it to school?
Oh, Ahmad or whatever the fuck his name is, and he built it. Yeah,
not that one. That's not the same. I think she's talking about the one that like is on. They have like a bazillion videos of the same story on YouTube about the like ginger kid who like used a bunch of like fucking fire alarm things to make like a nuclear reactor and then like
Oh yeah,
fucked up,
because
like,
it's
hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
there's that one. It's on YouTube a lot. There's a separate one. I'm just talking about specifically how there was a bunch of books at one point,
no.
which is maybe it might be related to that story where I may have heard where those books came from, but
There's a
there
case
was.
of a there's a dude that was straight up like he built a reactor in his garage and like it totally worked and it was safe and fine and he's just like Well, the problem is like it's making too much power, and I can't safely disassemble it. So he called the Department of Energy, and they fucking disassembled a nuclear reactor in his garage for him.
That's awesome.
Uh,
TFW,
Yeah,
you
if I
accidentally
was
make a
that guy,
nuclear
I'd get a
reactor.
fucking, I'd fucking get a job. Like, bro, like, what's that fucking guy doing?
Oh, he
Don't get a
was
job in nuclear
probably
physics.
he was probably suicided.
There's no the problem is there's no jobs for nuclear engineers in the U.S. anymore.
Oh, that's right, because nuclear energy is seen as a bad thing by
Yeah,
the
and-
fucking right.
Yeah, so like no new plants have been built for like 30 years, and since 3 Mile basically.
Yeah.
And the only way you can get a job in doing it is, and we could bring on my buddy sometime from college. He does nuke sub.
Oh, okay, I'm about to say,
engineer.
there's the only thing I can
He's
think
like,
of that is still like big fucking aircraft carriers and submarines that use
yeah,
nuclear
so
energy.
he's a sub engineer. He runs the
Not
power
a dom
plant.
engineer.
Yeah, right. So, he's under the water for 6 months of the year, but we'll see when he gets back, and I'll bring him on
Okay.
sometime.
Word.
Talk about
Yeah, anyways, that'll
What
be
he
that'll
can
be
talk
my
about.
my political goals is just nuclear energy and legalize crack. No other
Oof.
drugs. Every other drug's
talking
illegal.
about how
Fucking
stupid.
Advil's illegal. Only crack.
Could you imagine if we had nuclear power plants run by crackhead nuclear engineers? Could you imagine?
Bro,
I mean,
the
the
output would be
chance-
so good.
Have you ever talked to physics grad students?
Yeah, they're all on uppers. Every last one of them.
Oh yeah, they're all like that.
My favorite is when people say, "Oh, I'm an engineer." Like, an engineer in what, bro? That's like saying, like, I drive a car. Like, what fucking car, guy?
I engineer my dick into your mom. That's what I engineer.
I mean, you could be a mechanical engineer and
Which
just like.
mom?
fuck
Oh, you
all.
could be a mechanical engineer and you could be a fake scientist on a children's TV show. Absolutely, yeah. Speaking of things, the other topic we were going to cover tonight was the 87,000 new IRS agents that are going to be minted thanks to the passage of the Inflation Reduction Act, which of course suggests that the Democrats' plan on reducing inflation is to tax the shit out of anybody who sends a transaction
heard more
over
people
$600.
We
use
printed
more
too much
taxes.
money, so we need to collect it back.
Exactly, yeah. Like, we sent all those fucking stimulus checks out. It's time to fucking pay up, folks. So, that's where we're at now. 87,000 new
Shout out to all the
IRS
drug
agents.
dealers.
Not
who
only
don't
not
work
only
for
do
Dale Gun
they
Games.
have the funding to hire 87,000 new agents, now that they passed it, they posted ads on the IRS website
That's right.
asking for people who are willing to use lethal force and conduct violent confrontations between people to work for the IRS. Carry a
So,
firearm.
Afghan vets.
if
work
there
50 hours a
are-
week.
If there are any IRS agents watching this, which I'm sure there are, you boys might want to invest in level 4 plates. Just saying.
We got 6 people. I don't know if we got the statistics are kind of against it.
At least half of them are probably feds. Let's be real. To some degree.
That's not nice. That's not.
No,
nice.
it's not.
So-
I love all of our viewers and followers, but some of them are probably feds, and we will convert you.
Well, it's
I don't think-
my conspiracy theory about like flat earthers and other like kind of wonky, stupid conspiracy like QAnon and stuff like that is they just float schizos at the State Department. They just buy their books in bulk and like ship them to dispersed addresses and shit like that, or just burn them. They don't really care what they do with them. They've got the budget to do it, where they can just float these people and keep them in the public eye to like get down. Kind of tamp down the conspiracy theory thing. So Alex Jones looks stupid when he talks about Jeffrey Epstein because but there's also this guy that talks about flat earth. You're just one of those guys, right? Like this is a thing that they do.
Yeah.
Where they're and the schizos don't even know that they're getting funding from the CIA or FBI at this point. Like because
That'd
they're
be
just
nice
like,
to get some
I'm
fucking
selling my
government
book, I'm
funding.
selling my
Oh.
app. People are into
Mm.
it.
I should learn how to build an app. That seems like easy money.
I should learn how to build a nuclear device. That also seems like easy money.
Okay, all right. Anyway,
In Minecraft, of course.
that doesn't work anymore. They figured that shit out, bro. This is a parody account. Just even
Well,
reading
okay,
it back in court,
disclaimer: when I was showing my college textbook with a section on nuclear weapons, it was for informational purposes.
Do you
only.
have that textbook with you, like in proximity in your home?
Yeah, I was showing it on the camera.
Oh, I didn't see it. Did I miss that
No,
shit?
Oh, he's gonna show it again. Okay. He's got like undressed. He's got to take his dick out.
Of course,
Bend
yeah.
over.
I mean,
Yeah.
dude, he's got that 20-inch
Yo,
soft.
he's
that
wearing
you know.
he's wearing sandals, bro.
Oh boy.
Oh, check him out. He's wearing sandals.
Like I was saying, like this is publicly available knowledge that
I think I have literally had that textbook before. Holy shit! Is that a McGraw-Hill textbook by any chance?
The textbook.
The textbook.
The textbook.
The textbook.
Bro, how do I get money into fucking McGraw-Hill?
You don't.
That sucks. That sucks.
That ship has sailed, my friend. So
this
everybody,
is, Pearson.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Oh yeah. All right.
Nuclear weapons. I was nice. Okay.
Word. All right. Yes, you
All right.
put the thing in there, and you put the things outside of it, and they all do the thing at the
Here's
same
the
time.
diagram on
You gotta get a
Wikipedia.
really
And when they
small
all go off at
X-Acto
the same
knife.
time, it compresses the stuff, which does the thing, and it makes the stuff. All right, I got you.
So you gotta get an X-Acto knife, right?
Yeah.
And then you're gonna need a real high compound microscope. And you're gonna
Yeah.
get that X-Acto knife, and then you're gonna cut a couple atoms. And that's how you
Yeah.
get nuclear fission.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And then after that, I don't know what accent that even is. It's like
I
sheer Chicago.
It sounds like you're from Chicago there, bud, but I can't do a Chicago accent. I'm not. I can't.
Oh,
I can
Bears.
do New York, and I can do Daw Bears.
Bears.
Speaking of Chicago, just an aside, a little anecdote. I was out doing a
sex
a
orgy?
thing,
Yeah, monkey box?
a telescope thing, and this family was from Chicago, and their kids. One of the kids was had an early growth spurt, so he looked taller than he was actually 7, but he looked like 9, and he
Oh.
had a really bad speech impediment. Both the kids did. And I could tell, oh, you wore a mask for 3 years, and now your kids during their formative years can't talk.
Oh boy.
Yeah,
Different. I was speech delayed before the masks. I'll say it.
it might
as
have
a
been.
kid.
I don't know, but it's still Anyways, no, it was just as an interest thing. I don't I was saying the weapon plans are not what they're going after. The launch codes can't be what they're going after. That's
No.
all I was getting at.
I
It's technical data related to targeting. That's what they're going to justify it as. It's going to be stupid.
Gonna be.
But let's go back to the IRS, because somebody has to pay for those nuclear weapons that are so
Yeah.
dangerous that we can't trust the democratically elected president to have.
Have we ever been able to trust there's I think they're part of some type of archive systems, like public domain, where I remember listening to ones where it's JFK talking to a retired general about the fucking Cuban Missile Crisis. Man, the guy who literally was either in severe pain or hopped up on so many painkillers he didn't know where the fuck he was somehow more reliable with nukes, more likely than most of the presidents I know of. In my lifetime, at least.
There was
Actually, no, I shouldn't say that. There are. I mean, George Bush, Dick Cheney had the reins on that. He wasn't doing nukes. He's not a retard. He's just an idiot. It was ridiculous.
Well, he's not an idiot. He's just evil. But
Yeah, no, he's evil, but he's not evil enough to launch a nuke, which is such a low bar.
Okay, hold on.
No,
You mean George Bush is an idiot, not a retard, right?
He's an evil.
George Bush is an idiot and a retard, but Dick Cheney is an asshole, which makes him an idiot, not a retard. And Dick Cheney wouldn't launch no nukes.
I wouldn't call Dick Cheney an
wanted to-
idiot.
He
Well,
wanted
he's an idiot because
to.
he's an asshole.
Sorry, Max, go
He
ahead.
wanted to have Halliburton get oil contracts in Iraq, and you can't do that if you fucking nuke the place. Okay.
Oh yeah, no, exactly.
He
It was inconvenient for him.
Steps ahead on that one.
The people
speaking
wanted
of
probably
which,
nuke were more Cold War era, let's be honest. Joe Biden would actually press the button after pressing a bunch of funny numbers in there.
Living in Wyoming, every other ad is a Liz Cheney ad. The primary is in 5 days for her.
Is that
and
the
she's
one
gonna
that's
get wrecked.
a lesbian, or is that the other one?
No, you're thinking of her sister is the
Yeah.
lesbian. She's
Les Cheney.
Les Cheney.
I remember that
Uh.
fucking news article where it's like some like lesbian woman like was doing some work in like his house. It was like, wow, you really stood up to the war criminal by announcing you're
The
lesbian. Like, your
Comcast
daughter's a lesbian,
lady?
dog.
Oh yeah.
Like, listen, good for her either way for like at least putting on a fucking attitude with Dick Cheney. That's still something, but it's like, I don't know. You should have probably shorted out his fucking house.
If you're on your knees, bent over in Dick Cheney's house doing something he wants, you can have an attitude, but you're still on your knees, bent over doing something Dick Cheney wants. Like, let's be real here.
To be honest.
I don't either, but if that story doesn't end with, and then she stood up and stabbed him in the face in Minecraft, then
Yeah, I just would have been like, oh shit. I would
I'm
have took
glad
super
I
long.
don't
I would have
live-
ran the number on it. I would have fucking some shorted out. Oh, you need to replace this. You do what every contractor ever fucking does at a job site. You extend it. Oh, we don't have the part for this. We gotta wait 3 days for the part to come in. And once the part's here, I gotta go eat my sandwich first because OSHA regulations. I gotta eat it. Gotta be well fed.
of
Then
course,
after that, I gotta put my fucking hot air on, my fucking gloves and my goggles, and you gotta leave the room, sir. So that's what I would have done. I would have took my fucking sweet
Plus,
time. And
you
paid-
can't
paid
forget
out the
about
ass for it.
all the union regulations you got to deal with, and that's buddy, that's a lot of regulations.
Yeah, and it's gonna cost you like $12,000 just to fix a short circuit on one of your fucking plug-in things.
And
I'm not
listen,
an
like
electrician.
our hands are tied, man. Listen, let's the union. Like it's got to be.
I
done
gotta
this way.
order I gotta order some gloves so I don't shock myself.
You got to fill out the
Mr.
forms.
Cheney, Mr.
You gotta-
Cheney, I'm sorry. I don't
Yeah.
want. I don't want in this case. It's a 48-year-old.
I'm
Brooklyn
trying to
man.
imagine this lesbian
Oh, she's in this case, she's a
Italian
butch because the butch
worker
lesbian would have
yeah,
knocked
butch
his
Italian-
fucking teeth out.
in
Let's be
fucking like
honest.
Casper.
But she
Wyoming.
didn't.
This wasn't a butch, obviously. There's no one tougher than a butch lesbian that does fucking contractor work, like for fucking construction. Those are the toughest motherfuckers you'll ever meet. They'll lay someone fucking on their floor.
All four of them.
They got cauliflower ears, those motherfuckers.
All
And you
four
see
of
someone
them sure are
cauliflower
tough.
ears, that's not a fight. You say that, but there's a lot of them.
No, I actually drove through. I think he lives somewhere out in Casper or something like that, or around
What,
there.
the lesbians?
Dick
Shane
Cheney.
Dickey,
The Cheneys.
the Dickies,
Cock and ball Cheney? Cock and bollocks Cheney?
CBT
But
Cheney.
like, you
Cock
know,
and ball-
like
Cock and bollock toucher, Janie.
Oh,
The-
that was.
the fucking ad from Dick Cheney that airs all over Wyoming right now is him like Donald Trump lied, trying to steal an election. He's a coward, and stuff like that. And I made
Trump a coward. Yeah, that's true. I mean, okay, fair enough.
yeah, he's relatively accurate about all of his things, but it's coming from Dick Cheney.
Yeah,
You know,
and fucking Democrats are like, yeah, Dick Cheney, yeah. And I'm just like, what fucking planet is this? 10
Okay,
years
I live
ago, you couldn't
I
say
live in a
Dick Cheney.
neighborhood.
Go ahead.
I live in a neighborhood in Wyoming here, and
You live
I
in a
know
neighborhood in
for a
Wyoming?
fact, I know for a fact that the people with their fucking Prius parked in front of their house in Wyoming were not registered Republican in spring of 2022. Okay,
Mhm.
and they have Liz Cheney yard signs out front, so that they can switch. What they did is they switched their affiliation from, Democrat, progressive, whatever, which is there's only like 20% maybe in the state. And they've switched their registration so that they can vote for Liz Cheney in the Republican primary because we need her over, some other fucking, state politician who wants to get in and, is mildly pro-Trump and shit like that. But
I hope
Um,
they get lynched. I hope they go to the wrong bar and they just get taken out back
God,
and fucking murder
Jesus.
raped
Jesus.
in Minecraft. I don't care.
Christ.
We don't
No,
take kindly to your
legitim-
folk around here. Let's put some fucking muscle behind that shit.
legitimately, like I could drive around my entire town. It doesn't take that long. I could drive around the entire town.
All 30
If
people.
I see a fucking Prius out front, I can see the Obama Biden sticker that got removed off the back and the Liz Cheney sticker that got stuck onto it.
You know, if I had a piece of shit car, I would love, or this, I should start doing this. Where you get like really old, like political campaign, like stickers or shirts from like 40 years ago. So it's so removed, you don't even remember like the candidates.
Like Bush, Reagan, or some shit.
No, like I want like the ones who lost that no one remembers, like the duo, like from like
Goldman
1970 something. I want someone to be confused, like. They have like Google, like who the fuck this is, like who the fuck, what political opinion even is this?
Spiro Agnew for Senate.
It's like John Arbuckle McGillicuddy of the Moose Knuckle Party of 1893. I wouldn't find a shirt for that. I'd have to make one, but got a piece of shit like Toyota Corolla. Like just some old piece of shit. I love it. Just bomb it with stickers of like every party possible. Just I'm on both sides, so I always win.
This reminds me. So I of course live in Utah, which is a very red state, and I saw the other day. Well, the other day, I mean about 7 weeks ago. I believe it was some sort of like crossover SUV, and it had like every fucking like mainstream leftist culture fucking media consumer sticker you could imagine. Marvel stickers, a Zelda sticker, which, you know, Zelda by itself is fine. Fucking Harry Potter stickers, like fucking, it had like the multiple fucking like a mom and a cat and a couple of kids, or like a mom and a dad and a couple of kids and like a dog fucking family sticker. And you had like the fucking Rebel logo and all this shit. And right down there, right on the bumper sticker, it said like Kamala Harris or some shit. Like it was either 2020 or like it was actually.
You found a lie in the wild.
Yeah, the one that was probably driving from Salt Lake County, which is the highest concentration of blue people in Utah, which is the only concentration. If you look at a political map of Utah, it's like, okay, you got Utah, like you have this little blue right here, and like everything else is just red. Like, admittedly, most of the people, there are a lot of people who live right here, because that's Salt Lake County and Park City. So, of course, you're going to have more blue there. And, of course, they have a Democratic mayor who is functionally incompetent. But down in Utah County, it's very red, which is where I found this person on I-15 between the Point and the Forks. And if you know what that is, you know. If you don't, you don't. But that's where they were. That's like, that's very red. It's very red.
Anyways, the McGriddle.
It was the McGriddle. It was the McGrussy.
You ever driven through Salina and seen their World War II POW camp museum?
Yeah, I haven't actually been to it, but like I've seen it from a distance.
I've only been there emotionally.
They've got the fucking they had a POW camp for German soldiers in Salina, Utah. And one guy was a little salty that he didn't get to kill Germans in the war. So he climbs up into the guard tower and fucking mows down the sleeping POWs. Like, these are the Germans that surrendered, okay?
Oops.
Like, and
it's into America, bro? That sounds like a plus, if anything. Like, oh no, our country, we got no oil, and we have to use horses to pull tank. I guess I surrender to handsome American and then go and eat hot dog and play baseball and forget about Kaiser and Ubermensch.
So real quick, there's interesting conversation going in the chat. Is your German accent requires some work, but if you watch enough German movies and you study the German language as portrayed by English actors, you will understand the accent.
I've watched maybe two German movies. One of them was in my era of trying to figure myself out, which is about a man trying to figure out he's gay, which has one of the funniest moments, which was where the one black guy in the entirety of the film, and like the kid is like, sees like somebody's really into at the club, like dancing with this black guy, and he fucking calls the guy Obama as he pushes him. Which is pretty funny.
Okay, that's funny.
It's a pretty good film, honestly.
That's decent.
Like a German film about like a gay kid in a country I'm not familiar with and what the gay culture is like there.
So real quick, I just want to address real quick what is being current.
What's the conversation? I don't understand it. Yeah.
So they're talking about Jeanette McCurdy was one of the actresses on iCarly.
iCarly, great show.
Great show. So she released a memoir recently, talking about her time working on Nickelodeon and specifically with Dan the Foot Schneider.
Oh, that guy.
Classic Filthy
Yeah.
Frank song. That you
So,
guys should listen to about it.
I admittedly I haven't read the memoir. I've read a couple of articles about it, and she does talk about. I think Nickelodeon offered her like a $300,000 non-disclosure agreement deal where she had to not talk about anything that happened, and she would get $300K. And I believe
That's not
I-
enough.
that's
That's
not
for
enough.
anything,
No,
no.
exactly. And as a couple of people are putting here, Flo
If
T
you're talking
said,
about a media corporation and non-disclosure agreement, it needs to have at least 7 numbers.
yeah,
in the
exactly.
number.
6 digits. We're gonna take that decimal place and we're gonna go beep, and now we're good.
Yeah. Here's the irony in my head though. Is always like, part of me is always like, well, what if I would like to do acting, but it's like I'd probably get to, if not that I would ever actually succeed, but if I ever got to a certain point, then it's like the quid pro quo stuff comes in. It's like, okay, I'm gonna hire a PI or some fucking gangbangers and just figure some shit out and just. Oh,
I'm
no,
surprised. So I am in no way suggesting violence. I do not endorse violence. This is a podcast piece.
Usually, I would suggest not violence, but
I'm
if it is confirmed that
surprised
someone's a
nobody
fucking
has
pedophile-
tried to like Shinzo Abe Dan Schneider yet. Which I do not recommend anybody doing,
I think,
and I do
think
not
the problem
endorse.
is mostly like ex-Nickelodeon people who are probably too traumatized to be doing any kind of shit like that.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I'm sure you could probably fucking just like foil his information and find his address and just go to his house and shoot him in Minecraft.
I will ironically say I'll go to jail for this. Like Dan Schneider should be shot in the fucking head until your gun's empty and overheats. Like the barrel should be melting.
In Minecraft.
And then and if he's still alive, as his lungs are just spilling with liquid lead from the heat, you just immediately just start slapping him on the fucking face with
No.
brass knuckles.
You need to shoot him in the feet. You need to put a bullet in at least 1 foot. Like 1 bullet per foot. Like just to drive the message home.
And then as
this is the consequence of being a foot faggot. This is what you get.
And then at the end, you give him just a treat. You curb stomp him face first with your boot, as a last reminder of what he wanted and never can have again.
What would be cosmic justice is to put him in that imaginary room where it's a regular room, except the floor is a giant treadmill and it's made out of very abrasive sandpaper.
Ooh, yeah. I like it.
That's a good one for Jigsaw.
So
Why don't you get,
JC
like, a cease and
says
desist letter from like fucking Nickelodeon about a week from now.
JC says we should try to get Jeanette McCurdy on the show.
I don't think we should, because I feel
don't
like
either.
that would. Do you want your face plastered on the news? I know I don't.
I do not. I also don't want to put Jeanette McCurdy through that shit. Like, if she's been through some shit with Nickelodeon, like, I don't want her to be like, yeah. So can you
Also, just be really awkward.
can
Hey,
you
Thomas,
recall?
very-
Can you recall your trauma for us so that we can get like 14 views instead of 7? We would really appreciate that.
Yeah, please come on this very niche political thing on YouTube where like
I will say,
we've
like,
had like 100 handful viewers on like a guest episode.
after
do
the
that for
fact,
us?
we do get like like a maybe 100
No, if you look back, we do
views.
get like decent views. But it's
so
usually
here's-
afterwards.
Here's the
I
thought.
like there are a couple other like somewhat prominent like libertarian like nightly podcasts that get like 50 views on
Yeah.
YouTube. Like
To
I'm
be
thinking
fair,
like
I
Alan
think I
Mosley.
did say that Tim Pool should kill himself, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to get on him.
However, JC also wants to add that we should break Matt back out of federal prison and we should have him interview Dan Schneider.
I actually hate every word in that sentence. I'm not going to lie.
So, like,
Who's
from
Dan
one
Schneider
foot
again?
fetishist to Dan Schneider is the foot fetishist who made
Oh,
Nickelodeon shows.
okay, yeah. Sorry, it was just like
Hey, never forget Drake Bell, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Where he became very popular in Central South America, changed his name, and then was outed for doing some pedophile shit. Which is part of that vicious cycle that does happen, is that victims of crimes against them when they're younger, say pedophilia, they generally I'm not saying everybody who has this happen to them is going to do this, but it is known to happen.
Generally, yeah. It's unfortunately it's a very vicious cycle.
If it has
If you
happened
don't
to you, please
have
get
a
fucking
way-
help.
yeah, if you don't have a healthy way to deal with the trauma, then you tend to recreate trauma, and that has to do with every single
Form of trauma.
disorder,
This isn't-
like whether
yeah, this
it's
isn't
whether
just
it's
exclusive to that.
violence or abuse, like verbal abuse. If your parents were like always verbally abusive and criticizing you, like you don't deal with that trauma, you're gonna do that to your partner and stuff.
Yeah, so
like
so
that
if
too.
you do have, and this is unironic, this is like not a bit, like if you do have trauma from anything like that, just trauma in general, actually seek fucking help if you can't afford a therapist, whatever. There are probably free source or free access shit depending where you live. You can look it
Or
up.
just
Or if
smoke
not,
a
you got
lot of weed.
friends.
If you smoke a lot of weed, it's the same as therapy.
It's not like I'm not gonna say weed is like a gateway drug, but if you're doing it for trauma, it definitely is probably going to be, because weed's gonna not be enough at a certain point if you're gonna use that as your like coping mechanism. You gotta seek
If you're
actual help.
crutching on drugs and weed, like they did that study about
Weed with
schizophrenia,
other
right?
stuff.
Well, like there's that thing about like weed can lead you to schizophrenia. Like the weed use is higher among schizophrenics, and I would definitely see like if you're coping with trauma and like trying to
Yeah.
like go through it, and then like you take a drug that has a known side effect of making you paranoid all the time, like you just like lean into that over time. I think there is a mechanism for that. I mean, same with meth too. Meth I don't know, but I think it makes you.
Yeah, no.
paranoid.
Either way, seek actual help. If you can't afford actual help, see about free resources. If you can't or don't want to do that, you always have friends, family. If you don't that you got someone
strangers on the internet.
You could always just vent.
You can always go into
strangers on the
Tumblr
internet
and
you
just
can vent
shitpost
to.
about how you feel.
It's a start. It's always at least start
Or
somewhere.
if you want an
Go
anonymous,
into somebody who you go to somebody who thinks is cool's inbox and like just post like do an anon thing and see if they get like a
Oh my
random
God.
thing. You can just
Okay.
text somebody for a
So
little
that reminds me of this one time. So I had here in Mormonopolis, aka Utah, I had a coworker who I'm not going to name, but she was telling me and my coworkers the story one time, and she was like, "Guys, can you tell me if this is weird?" And we're like, sure, okay." So she was telling us about this time when she was younger. There was this cousin apparently that she knew, and they were technically, it was like cousins by marriage, but it was still like the people were married and they had been married for probably close to 15 years. So this was like her family member of at least 15 years.
It's not like a step cousin that like you just met a week ago type.
Exactly.
Like,
this is
family.
Yeah, and like apparently like
Even
he made a move on her and tried to kiss her, and like he was like, well, he was kind of cute, so I kissed him. And she's like, "Is that weird?" And I'm just like, we're all just like, well, for Utah, no. For the rest of the world, yes.
Well, okay, like people don't maybe talk about this a lot, but in Africa and the Middle East and India, cousin marriage is high.
It's so high.
In Pakistan, it is beyond the majority. It is the absolute norm.
Isn't it like actual, like it's a genuine humanitarian crisis, but there are so many babies like that have deficiencies due to inbreeding in like the Middle East and Africa that it's like they require statistically more specialized childcare because of it. Like that's a thing. Am I hallucinating this?
I want to get the stats up. But yeah,
I just looked this up. PubMedNCBI.NLM.NIH.gov. So take this grain of somewhat salt. In Pakistan, over 60% of marriages are between first or second cousins. The highest rate of such marriages has been reported in rural areas among individuals with low education and among the poor. So it is more of, however, cousin unions are also common along with landowning families. So it's either just lack of, like, there's probably more to it where it's just either lack of like knowing people, and it's like, oh well, we know other cousins over there, and then landowning is probably more of a strategic thing where it's like those rich assholes were like, oh, met a cousin, so then we can share. I don't know why he's Russian.
No, you keep it in the family, and then the wealth stays in the family.
Where I can't really, like, it's like how some of those stories of like people in really rural areas where like the lack of options of marrying or getting with somebody else is so low, where it's like that's pretty much your only option. Where it's like I can't
say what you will about
them necessarily. I don't want to like condone it, but I don't want to like say like they're assholes or this is bad. Like what they're doing is bad. It's just they have no other options, I guess, in their cases.
Say what you will about the eugenics movement in America and Europe.
Don't hand it to eugenicists.
You mean Planned Parenthood?
You don't have to hand it to eugenicists. Okay.
You absolutely. We would like to correct an earlier statement made by Max, aka Caparato, on the altar. You absolutely do not, quote, have to hand it to eugenicists, unquote.
Anyways, go on.
Charles Darwin married his cousin and had fucked up kids.
Of course he did. He fucking looked at his kids and he was like, maybe.
Did he looked at some fruits and he was like, look at his kids. He looked at his fruits again and just went back and forth like, fuck.
And it was the eugenics. It was the progressive eugenics movement that started to actually ban on the state level, which is where marriage is regulated. And you could look up most states. Most don't allow cousin marriage.
I think as the further north you go, it's more reduced, which people point out, like, oh, that's because the Southerners do it more. It's like,
yeah,
that doesn't mean shit, bro. Like, bro, you go to New York City, shit happens up there.
Yeah.
Well, the unfortunate thing in a lot of single-parent households in urban areas is a lot of kids don't know who their father is, and the accidental incest is real too. So that's a thing in certain areas.
If you don't care about the government knowing your DNA shit, you always take 23andMe and find out who your dad might possibly be. That's how we found out. I have a half brother, by the way.
Really? Oh.
I remember when that 23andMe shit was really popular and like everybody was fucking doing it, and like there was a kid who grew up like I want to say 7 or 8 houses down from me where I lived in New York State, and he was probably one of my best friends like through like middle and high school.
Yeah,
and
18, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. No, he's last I checked, he was married to a girl, and like they've been married for like 3 or 4 years now, and they're really happy. So I can't. It's either a really good cover or whatever. But like, so his dad apparently did a DNA test, and his brothers and sister did it too, and apparently they found out they literally have like 3 or 4 other siblings they didn't know about because their dad was like cheating on their mom with multiple women.
Fucking Christ.
Yeah. So like
this one was like before the marriage my father had. So like it's all good.
So
Thank
I also
God,
I also remember like I'm pretty sure like an ex of mine had like she discovered she had like a cousin that like had no idea about the rest of the family, but like they did the test and they found out, so your dad actually slept with this woman who's in our family, so you're technically our cousin. So hi, how you doing? And she was just like, I don't know how to handle this, so I can't talk to you people. Bye. And
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
It happens a lot.
Yeah.
So,
no kids, by the way.
Whack news here. California, New York, Massachusetts, cousin marriage, totally legal. First cousin.
Surprise.
Most of the northern states outside of that, it is illegal. So think Washington, Oregon, Montana, Wyoming, the Dakotas, and in several states, it is actually a criminal offense. It's not just like a civil thing where they void your marriage. It is a criminal offense. I wonder
how that goes, like getting arrested for that. Like, are you in the process of doing it and they look up at you and like, are you like the fucking person at the court county like clerk thing is just like writing it down, like looking through the papers, like, before you sign, I'm letting you know it's a felony, LOL. And they're like,
well, they might
sign it. Then the fucking
all right. So I'm about to make this a very controversial episode. So, speaking from an ANCAP perspective,
yeah,
if you have 2 adults who are related,
Jesus.
And personally, I think this is fucking disgusting, and I would never do this. But let's say you have 2 adults who are related to any degree.
No.
If both people are adults and I'm sorry, it has to be brought up because how the fuck else are we going to end this episode?
This is a prop, everybody. This is a prop.
This is a prop. Yeah, it's got a fucking orange tip. Yeah. Where's my prop?
Yeah, it's only there so the police don't shoot me.
As I was saying, if they're consenting adults, what would be that would be the ANCAP stance. They get to do whatever they want.
I would say though,
I don't like this.
Reproduction on as cousins or siblings is at a very tricky area.
Like, here's the thing. So, friend of the show and prophet of peace, Marcel, aka Anarchy in Black, is a proud eugenicist and would argue that if they did have kids, they should be aborted.
Oh my god.
But No,
Oh,
here's the
Jesus
thing.
Christ.
If he watches this episode, he'd be like, yeah, absolutely. If a brother and a sister reproduce, that kid's gonna be fucked up, and abortion at that point is fine.
This is
He'd
a
probably
fucking
stand by
train
that.
wreck now.
Oh no, this is a great way to end this episode. Yimra, I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm kind of leaning on Marcel's side on this one.
Yeah, exactly. Here's the thing.
This whole conversation is just a fucking train wreck.
Yimra, here's the thing. If we don't do this now, and we don't establish these mental parameters and these philosophical parameters now, then other people will have to do it later. So if we do this now, we... Yeah, you dramatic faggot.
So anyway. Douchebags.
I think voluntary eugenics is a very positive thing, as opposed to government, which now participates in dysgenics, right? We subsidize poor people, which tend to have lower IQ reproducing.
Exactly.
So,
well, would you say the lower IQ is more just because the IQ only tests one kind of intelligence, which involves going to a better school, basically?
No, you can do
Arguably.
IQ tests, which are
there are different kinds of intelligence tests, but the base IQ test is like
you can do one
score better if you're
in
from
tribal societies based on reaction time, and they correlate very strongly with there are, yes, you are right, there are verbal versus spatial versus mathematical versus
that's what I'm saying, because I imagine like the guy who it's like that one Isaac Asimov quote where he talked about how this guy obviously is a very intelligent person in science, and then like the guy who could not tell you about half of shit in math can work on a car and make the fucking, let's be honest, wizardry. You start opening up an engine and transmission, that's wizardry, let's be honest. And that guy can fucking figure that shit out. That's a different kind of intelligence. It's always like the IQ thing always is like
that's fair.
Well, slippery slope kind of conversation.
But we could say like that people who have very low skill in general and thus need to survive through the charity of others, receiving that charity at the barrel of a gun through government welfare, are thus able to acquire resources that allow them to reproduce at rates higher than they would otherwise. And overall, this has a dysgenic effect upon the population, and you can observe that overall, there's a lot of data going into how IQ is steadily dropping.
So what you're saying is that retarded people and liberals essentially have the same issue when it comes to reproduction. Without government subsidization, they really just don't. They don't.
Right, this is where I'm getting at with the schools, too.
The rich liberal. Oh, I'm fucked up. Rich liberals. There's too many of those.
Yimra, I'm fucked up too, and I can still form sentences. That's no excuse.
You can eat my ass anytime.
I'm good. I don't need the monkeypox.
So, you know what the birth rates are for like different education levels, and like you're right about the education. Like people get stuck in horrible government schools in Baltimore, they're not going to learn shit. And
I mean, there's still people who are smart in those places, but some people are just genuinely gifted, and other people just get fucked over by the system. It's the same thing as like prison, where like if someone's integrated into a system, like even if they're smart, like sometimes it's just like they're just so ingrained into one thing, it's hard to kind of like beat out of it.
Exactly.
Which is, like if you're never given any hope by anybody, you're just gonna work at a miserable fucking job and you just work your ass off at something that sucks.
You're just a fucking postal worker for the rest of your fucking life, just pissed off
and learn and actually engage in things that are more interesting.
I mean, that's the miracle of the modern world, right? Is that we've got there's people like the postal worker driving around nowadays, like dropping off mail in people's boxes. Like they can just listen to a podcast, literally.
But yeah, now it's easier access, but of course, because they haven't been ingrained in the school. This is a fucking horrible. Anyways, it's ingrained in the school system that makes one learning fucking miserable by people who either don't give a shit or trying to say their own things. It's just like one fucking barrier after the other of either unmotivated people who are teaching or the resources to teach these kids in the places that are lower income, say certain major population areas or rural areas that don't have a good enough budget for public school systems. Say what you will about public school systems, that's where the people who are going majority of the time are.
So Luke Lefebvre, real quick, wants to say, are you saying poor people are genetically predisposed to stupidity?
That's a up there question.
I would actually say, like, generations of poverty, yes, would actually genetically cause stupidity in bloodlines. Through not necessarily through any fault of the people themselves. Like, if you're just like, if you have like, if your generation has just like a bad fucking run, and you're poor, and then your fucking kids are poor, and their fucking kids are poor, and you don't have access to like education. Yeah, like we fucking seen it. Like you can fucking see them in fucking trailer parks.
Well,
every
no,
fucking day, man.
it could even be, if you're poor and you have bad nutrition,
Yeah, that too.
like, you'll be shorter, right? Is it a conspiracy theory that you might have less development, mentally, as your brain only grows, for the first 25 years of your life, right? And so
Yeah.
if you have bad nutrition growing up because you're poor, you're going to have downward pressure on the most expensive calorie-wise organ
Like
in your
20% of
body.
your energy goes to your brain. That weighs like a couple of pounds.
So it's it could be the other way
if you eat
around,
shitty
right? We're
food
not.
that isn't higher in fucking energy and fucking nutrients, protein and shit. As you develop, you can get a little fucked over.
But I mean,
That's
like
it.
in general, like I think it's observable that the market selects for intelligence in many different ways. Like you could be a mechanic that makes $60,000 or $80,000 a year, who would never read a textbook but can do fucking magic with transmissions because you're getting 3 or 5K per transmission, right? And it takes you an afternoon, and so like. There's a lot of different types of intelligence that are out there that aren't corresponding to book smarts or something like that.
That's the one that's just most commonly engaged in, at least in school, is like that type of IQ is like just
that's the one that's elevated. What the book intelligence is the least useful in the marketplace of like when it comes to markets. Like these fucking grad students and PhDs who have like 12 years of post K-12 education.
So
they can't operate microwaves. All right, they are trainable, but they can't like do anything for themselves.
So I met a guy today at work. And I'm not going to give no. Well, he may be in the future. It depends on whether or not he buys the ring. Like so many couples that come through my door with these dudes who like there's nothing inherently wrong with them other than they're being flip-floppy, and these women they're with who are absolutely gorgeous because it's fucking Utah, and for some reason like the proximity or just the population of gorgeous women is high. Couldn't tell you why. But this dude comes in and he's getting a PhD in computational science, which is cool. It's a very, very difficult thing to do. And I asked him, I was like, oh, cool. So what do you want to do with it? And he's like, oh, so I want to make computer simulations that can better simulate hurricanes. Now, there's nothing inherently wrong with that. That's cool. And that does have a use. But, like, that is a very, 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 very specific application that is useful in approximately 0 other fields other than, like, literally the fucking NOAA, like dealing with fucking hurricanes and shit. Which, for all I know, 10 years from now, he may be one of those dudes inside a C-130 flying into a hurricane. I have no idea. But that's
I can imagine.
You know where he could work?
Where
is an insurance company doing actuarial tables for property, assessing likelihoods of hurricane damage across different
send
areas.
that guy down
That's
to
a
like the
continuous
Caribbean.
job all the time as the data gets better in the collection.
I did actually. I used that in my sales pitch. I was like, "Hey, so like if you're dealing with hurricanes, you're probably either going to live in Texas or Florida. So if you're living out there, if you buy from us, your warranty is going to follow you wherever you go." So that worked pretty well. But like, like here's the thing. Not like I actually liked him. He was a nice dude. The woman he wants to marry, they were actually already engaged. He had like a placeholder ring, and he wanted to get her something proper so he could, But like, the impression I got from him was she found him through the internet. He does not leave his room normally, and she's like, oh, he's pretty nice and smart, and like he's relatively good looking, and he'll make a lot of money. and she's very like outgoing and like she's literally like she's an artist. That's the only way they would talk about her as an artist. And I literally told her, I was like, listen, if you're pretty picky when it comes to ring styles, just like take some pictures of stuff you like and just draw us something you like that would be specific to you and bring me the drawing and I will just fucking make you the ring. And she's like, you can do that? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. It'll take me like a couple weeks. And they're like, oh shit, okay. So they may do that. But like you have this artist, this very like extroverted artistic woman, and this very introverted, I'm gonna make computer simulations of hurricanes dude. And I'm just like, y'all met on Tumblr, didn't you? I can fucking feel it. I can feel it right now. Y'all met on Tumblr. Y'all are going to buy a ring from me because you know what? You've probably reblogged one of my posts and don't even know it.
So,
of course, I can't say any of this. I can't say any of this out loud because, oh my god, this dude's schizophrenic. Let's get the fuck out of here. And fair enough. Fair enough.
But okay, so the other thing that this guy could do with his fancy computer simulations, if it ever occurs to him, is that he could go work for an animation studio, export. And I know a lot of guys who do this, that they write the physics sims, and then those sims get used in a Hollywood movie, or something like that a few years later, and they get royalties, and they're just.
I was gonna say they probably make like 6 figures hand over fist without trying.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Hand over penis, just fucking balls over cock. Just easy.
And you know where it gets super lucrative is when you're doing weather modeling or any kind of modeling or like software stuff for the Department of Defense or a Department of Defense contractor.
So what you're saying is my client is going to be working for HARP.
Hurricanes. Yeah. Weather weapons or some stupid shit.
Weather
like
weapons
that.
or shit like that. All right, boys. It is.
Okay, yeah, I'll let you finish.
So we could keep going if you guys want, but we are an hour and almost 20 minutes into this.
Epically based?
Based and red pilled. Even.
Cringe.
LARP.
The fucking FBI should have raided Trump's house and arrested him for appeasing the Saudis and blockading and bombing Yemen.
Yeah,
committing a war crime.
You know that's not going to happen.
But that's not what they did it for. Instead, they impeached him for not selling weapons to neo-Nazis.
Of course.
That were connected to his political rival who staged a coup in said country. So, and is currently in power while that country is fighting a proxy war with a nuclear power that is right on their border. So, we can all kiss our asses goodbye if they decide that we're providing too much military support on their border and we die in hellfire.
See, here's the thing. I really do think that the United States and Russia have some sort of back channel communication. And they're like, all right, as long as y'all don't go beyond a certain point, we're cool. Because aren't we still like, we're still economically involved with Russia. Like, we're still importing and exporting shit. Yeah. So it's clearly not that dire yet. Like, if we're business as usual, like it's at this point, it's literally that meme where you have like two dudes standing around two monkeys who are like fighting with knives. Except one of the dudes is also the monkey. But like, it's at this point, it's fake. It's all just fake and staged and gay.
And also being said about the nukes is like a majority of them would be shot out of the sky anyways. Because they'd have to, if they're going to hit the U.S., they'd have to cross so many other places that have SAM missiles. You go east, you got Japan, South Korea, Australia.
Okay.
Philippines Island.
I don't want to test that.
Suggested reading or podcast to listen to is anything Scott Horton's talked about with the Star Wars. What you're thinking of is bullshit.
Yeah.
Okay.
What
It
I'm
doesn't
saying
work.
is you can't have a missile that
Those
goes to
don't
another.
I don't, Jimra, I
Not
don't
anymore?
think you understand how many silos are literally ready to go at a moment's notice just to fucking launch.
Well, they're
nukes and
called
just-
Minuteman missiles for a reason.
Right. Here's the thing, though. We're talking about global saturation. We're not talking about
Mhm.
necessarily striking key
You're
targets.
not going to
We're
hit
talking.
all of them, but I mean, South Korea
Right.
really has ones in there for the exact reason for North Korea.
Here's the
Those are
thing.
slower and
Do
easier
you
to
do
hit
you
off.
know how many nuclear weapons between Russia and the United States?
Oh no,
are
I'm
just
saying it's
sitting
just,
in a
it
silo
wouldn't be
with
as
like
many. Is what I'm saying. As many would hit.
It
right.
takes only a tenth
Mhm.
of what we have. Or it would only take the amount that would hit if you got 90% of them
Yeah.
to
That's
start
it.
nuclear
One
warfare.
nuke
We
goes
all
off.
starve
One
to
nuke
death
is
anyways.
one nuke is bad, but in the end of the day, even if you use all nukes, like the world will be shit. The world will eventually get over it. Most of us will be dead and be miserable, but literally, there's been studies. It's like, okay, but almost everybody will die. The people who survive are gonna have a horrible time. They'll have a bunch of generational issues, but eventually, the Earth will keep doing its thing, which is get the fuck over it. And we would probably, hopefully, all die out because we deserve it at that point. But
Mm.
it looks like basically like if even all the nukes went off. I think I remember there was a study where it's like, yeah, a good chunk of the population would be dead, but not all of them. Nuclear winter would get a lot of fuckers, but also like the areas that just would not be affected outside of like, the after effects.
If
Hmm.
if the
Like-
crops fail
Mm-hmm.
for 10 years in a row,
Yeah.
there will be no human life on Earth.
But everyone in
Okay.
South Africa is going to be fine, ironically.
No, actually, what would happen is we would all start living in subway systems, and we would eat mushrooms and pigs. That's what we would do.
I would run the
Fair.
metros, my opium farm, so
I-
I'll be fine.
I-
Fun fact.
I hope that we have the back channels. There was a certain point where nuclear
I mean, that's what embassies are
weapons,
for, aren't they? I mean,
there was devolved down to the field command. The colonels in Pakistan and India had tactical authority to authorize nuclear strikes against each other.
Oh
Colonels.
boy.
Okay, and the same thing happened in the Cuban Missile Crisis.
you with the three guys in the submarine, right? The one
Yeah.
that said no.
Yep.
Yeah, one
Yeah,
guy
we've
said
been
no.
close to the brink a lot worse, quite frankly. I don't think it'll ever. I don't think it'll
we-
happen.
We need to have like a sit down, and the story that breaks my heart every single time I hear about it is Gorbachev and Reagan in Iceland, and Gorbachev's calling Reagan to come back and say, "Come on, we can do this. We can get rid of all nukes." What they were actually going to do is bring it down to 200, which is just 200 each.
Yeah.
And that's just a deterrent. Okay, like, we could destroy all of your military forces as they come across, but we wouldn't destroy all life on Earth if because we have 20,000 right now. And then he said no to that deal because he thought the Star Wars weapons worked. The Star Wars weapons don't fucking work. We don't have the lasers. We could set off bombs in space that try to blow up other bombs.
So,
It'd
this-
be bullshit.
I'm gonna get a little nerdy real quick. So there's a very, very good video game that I used to play back in the day called
boy.
World in Conflict. And what World in Conflict deals with is basically there's like economic issues. Basically, Russia winds up invading Europe at first, and there's this whole thing about that over there. And what they also try to do is they sneak a bunch of troops in cargo ships through the port of Seattle, and they invade Seattle, and they use that as a basis for invading the rest of the United States. It's a real-time strategy game, and basically what you do is you basically play a commander who commands troops, and you deal with all this shit. So there's this mission in the game where the Russians are convinced that Star Wars is a real thing, and somewhere in like Idaho, I think, there is actually a control center for, or what was supposed to be known at the time as the control center for Star Wars, basically like the equivalent of NORAD, but dealing with that. And in the game, the Russians think it's a real thing. So they direct their invasion force towards this, and the United States realizes what they're doing and realizes, oh shit, even though this shit doesn't work, the Russians think it does, and if the Russians discover it doesn't work, they're going to nuke us immediately. So there's this whole couple of missions in the game that deal with having to defend this stupid little town that has absolutely no real strategic value whatsoever, and what the United States winds up doing is they nuke the town as a demonstration to the Russians to show that if they continue to push towards this command center, they are going to continue using nuclear weapons. I just thought that was interesting. Just throwing that out there.
Kind of Morbius.
Here's
meme,
the deal:
sorry.
if we arm the Ukrainians to the point that they can mitigate a like they would mitigate the Russian missiles, like you're talking about the Iron Dome thing
Yeah.
that would block the missiles. If the Russians feel like they can't use retaliatory or retaliation strike against a U.S. first strike, all cards are off the table. That is
Yeah.
what the Russians are saying when they say about this NATO thing. And they have given verbal warnings about this like 4 different times. Like if you give these missile batteries that can shoot our nukes out of the sky, like right now Russia has only mobilized 2 out of 70 military districts into this war. Okay, they are fighting this very passively. This is like a vacation where they're rotating soldiers in. Like, it's not what they say. They will go ham if we start giving these Patriot missile batteries to them and shit like that. But we're completely happy to fucking fight to the last Ukrainian and sell them billions of dollars of weapons through Lockheed and Raytheon and General Dynamics. And
Okay,
like
that makes a lot of sense.
what it's
Why very early in the conflict wasn't there a demonstration where Russia used like a volley or like a couple of hypersonic missiles or something like that to show that like they have the ability
with conventional payload. Yeah,
Yeah,
hypersonic
exactly.
missile that
I remember that, and
and
I was like, okay, so it's like a show of force, but it's like, oh, okay, so if we're supplying Ukraine with Iron Dome technology, this is the Russian way of saying, if you go that far, we'll just go too fast. Like we'll just sonic that shit out.
they have the hypersonic missile capability that defeats any system that we have. And it was George
they gotta
Bush.
have like a handful of them, right? Because they're dumb expensive and their budget's shit out of whack.
They who knows how many they've actually built, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, they showed off one. They probably have at least like a handful, I'd imagine. But they got to be expensive, and their budget's a whack ass shit.
I would say it's surprising once you get an economy of scale that they've been upgrading their weapons to that capability in rapid order.
Yeah, they've been upgrading, but they always been trying to front like, oh, we got these new optics, these new gear for our soldiers, and then like you see.
Oh, they've never cared about the individual soldier.
No,
the Russian military
and like
is
artillery gear that comes out is
The Russian military is artillery and their missile battery
and tanks.
And tanks, yeah. The individual soldier, their body armor doesn't even work and shit like that. That
was the one thing they were
usually
trying to front
individual
up on.
soldiers are body armor for the tank. Usually.
Well, yeah. Well, the whole thing was after the Georgian conflict, they're like, okay, we need to get more armor and better shit. And they were supposed to like be releasing pretty much a few years back, like actual like a new like system, like newer AKs, new optics.
So the one thing they also came out with was the new. The Ratnik, there's like the AK-12, there's also the Armada, which is supposed to be their new main battle tank, which literally when that came out, everybody was like, wow, talk about fucking missile bait. It has like the highest profile of any main battle tank currently being serviced by any country. And it was like, okay, cool.
Yeah, they are all of those programs, and to be honest, a lot of the U.S. weapons programs, in the same respect, they spend a lot of money, and it goes to defense contractors, and it really improves the morale of the soldier when they see look at this body armor demonstration, and look at this shit, look at this new weapon and stuff like that, and you feel good about your gear going in, and it has almost no effect on your survival rate because it's all about artillery preparation for the stuff that you're going into.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason U.S. soldiers survive their firefights is because they can immediately call in airstrikes.
Yeah,
they can call an airstrike. They got
precision munitions,
armor
that's where the money
works.
is.
Mm-hmm. They got an optic on the gun where they can actually see the guy at 700 meters instead of the asshole with the AK and iron sights just has to like squint and get.
Do you know what the actual casualty ratios when they find dead enemies on the battlefield?
Oh,
are they
slow.
shot?
It's all artillery.
They're not shot. They're blown up with missiles.
Well, no, yeah. Since
nobody
World War
gets
I,
shot in war anymore.
Since I'm about to say, since World War I, most casualties have been from artillery or other explosives. It's not been direct gunfire.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, what wins a war is physical men on the ground.
See, you guys are probably right, but like growing up, working in the fucking gun store I worked at here in Utah, I met a lot of veterans, and specifically one of my very close friends now is a former Army veteran, and he was a machine gunner in the Army, and like he did like if you talk about this, he'll be like, yeah, for the most part we used that, but he was a 240 gunner, and he was in, I want to say, Afghanistan and Iraq, and like if there was anybody statistically who broke the rule about most people in war nowadays get bombed or blown up with missiles, it was him. Like he has like a double-digit body count.
There's certain like the
Oh, no,
Cornwall
I
Valley,
can
there's
believe
a lot
that
of
for a machine gun operator,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
I'm
I
just
mean-
saying, like the other 10 guys in the squad are there to like deny the movement of
Yeah.
the enemy by pinning them down with suppressive fire until
Mhm.
precision munitions can just blow them up.
Pretty much.
That is
Yeah,
the
the
point. Yeah.
the reality of it is just like I shouldn't have lost my track. Shit.
No,
Like
you're good.
most of the time, like you're firing at guys 700 meters, you can't hit them 9 out of 10 times. So then you call in the airstrike. That's usually what happens. And then there's exceptions where it's like Fallujah or Cornwall Valley or certain regions where
Oh, if you're doing
you-
urban fighting and you're not
Yeah.
committed to and you're committed to not blowing up the entire city, your body armor and optics matter a lot,
Yeah.
and your training.
Well, yeah, it's
which is
I think
which
I
is
think the issue is what kind of conflict are you talking about?
yeah.
Where in general, yeah, no, in the end of the day, like your artillery and like your air support is like end all be all of a conflict outside of the fact you need to have troops physically to hold the ground of something you want to own. But the reality is you can't have one without the other, and then the artillery is obviously going to get more kills because if you throw a bomb that's basically can blow up a house and then every neighbor around it is getting hit with shrapnel, they're gonna probably get some more confirmed kills. Although confirmed kills is like not a mostly not real thing.
All right, gentlemen.
Like no infantry, I guess confirmed kills.
So we
okay.
have denigrated this episode into us drunkenly talking about firearms and military tactics from the comfort of our computer chairs. It's time to end this podcast. It's been lovely, but
I was discharged. I'll say it.
okay,
They kissed
no,
me
you're
when I
good.
left.
You're good, man. But like, Max, did you want to say something?
Oh no, there's somebody talking about
Something even
galactic
gayer.
discharge or galactic current sheet reaching the sun and trigger a nova event.
That'd be sick. I don't know what that is. Was this accidentally cause some sun flares? Let the whole electric
is
grid
this
go down.
some electric universe stuff?
If someone starts talking about dark matter, I'm blasting.
Possibly. I actually think I have the electric. I did buy the Electric Universe textbook. I should reference that.
Oh, it's
Textbook.
a textbook. I thought
It's not a
it was some
textbook.
crazy shit. Fuck you.
Yeah, I don't know about that. But okay.
Yeah, you look at the stars sometimes, you know.
Good
I
thing
know, I know.
space is NASA propaganda.
Space is NASA propaganda. That's right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us on this extended episode of The Altar. I don't really remember how much we actually talked about the main topics, but I believe we
Doesn't
did
matter.
talk about them. Doesn't matter.
Nothing
we did
matters
address them.
anymore.
Nothing matters. Nothing
We
matters.
addressed them. Grimace has
None
a
of this
fat
matters.
fucking pussy. And that's
Oh
all that
my
matters.
God. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on another episode of The Altar. Have a lovely night. Woo. All right, boys. That was like an hour, and that was almost like